What's going on, guys? We're back with another Warpath video. Today, we have a lot of questions about the campaign. How do we beat it? What exactly can we do better inside of the campaign so that we can beat some of these very difficult levels? If you guys are interested on how to be better at the campaign and how to move your units to utilize them the best way possible for the campaigns to make it as high as you can go, stay tuned, guys. Point number one, guys, is dealing specifically with unit types. So let's just go over real quick some of the different unit types, okay? We have, of course, tanks. And from the tanks, we have the weakest but fastest unit, where you can get the most on the field as far as tanks are concerned, with the light. Then we go to the medium. Then we go to the tank hunter. We go to the heavy, which is known with the H, and then we have the super heavy, which is the slowest, the least amount. Even if your barracks are upgraded all the way, you have 3 of them total. Those are the tanks that are available. Then we have infantry. After that, we have the backline, or artillery, and rockets. So we have a couple different kinds. We have the anti-tank guns that are piercing, mainly for tanks. And then we have the howitzers, which are, for bunkers and bases and such things like that. And then we have the rockets, which are mainly really fast. They drive really fast, but they go for the infantry. Now, most of you guys already known that. You guys have probably been in the game 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, maybe almost into a month. And you guys are getting at sticking points inside of the campaign. So I just wanted to bring up some of the different types right now. So when we talk about this, you're going to understand where I'm coming from. Okay. Now, everybody should have a sponge. I call it a sponge. Many people you call it cannon fodder. It depends on what language you're speaking, what you specifically call it. But what it is, it's going to be your tanking unit. Not a tank, but a tanking unit. You need something that can absorb the damage. And unless you have you spend a lot of money and you have a very, very high level, really quick middle ground tank, like a medium or a tank hunter, but you have it like really high, like a level 10, then it probably won't matter as much. But if you are a free to play or you're a low spender and you're going about it the slow way, you're definitely going to want something on the lines of a heavy or a super heavy. Now, the super heavy is a little bit harder to get because it's only for Vanguard unit. But the heavy, though, the heavy unit has 3 different heavies, okay? We have the Vanguard, which is the gray. We have the Liberty, which is the blue. And then we have the Martyr's Watch, which is the red. And which one would I use for tanking? Okay, I'm saying tanking, guys. I would use the Vanguard, which is the Tiger, and I would use that as my heavy. That unit right there is going to do really well against some of the other obstacles that hit in the campaign that, or that you need to absorb a little bit of damage with, okay? Now, the heavy is countered by the tank hunter. So in the campaign, when you have tank hunters along the lines, you're going to be kind of screwed with that. So what is the other unit that you could pair with the heavy that would do very well? Well, you could pair a medium. A medium is a very well-rounded unit. A lot of players know this. I specifically like the Martyr's Watch because it self-heals, but there is a Vanguard unit and a Liberty unit, which is the Sherman. They all have a medium. But the medium is going to counter not only a light, but also a tank hunter. So therefore, you're going to get the piercing of the tank hunter. And you need that because the tank hunter counters your heavy that you're driving. And it's slow and stuff. So you can have a heavy or a super heavy, preferably a super heavy, but a heavy or super heavy. You're going to want a medium, right? And then you're going to want some artillery on the back. And why should you not neglect the artillery? Well, because inside of the campaign mode, you have infantry that you have to go up against. So you definitely need like a howitzer or some type of artillery. And you're also going to face some super heavy tanks. So having something that can pierce those super heavy tanks like an anti-tank gun will do very well. 2 of them is enough. So what I just described was 4 things: a super heavy or a heavy, a medium, and 2 artillery units. What about the 5th one? Well, a lot of people, they don't really care to upgrade infantry because they don't think it's a good end game against player versus player type unit, but it is a very, very good unit for campaign. Infantry can bunker, meaning that some of those pesky little tanks, like the light tanks and other tanks that are inside of campaign, the infantry can do very well against them. And they stand the test of time, so they stay bunkered for a while, but they are kind of a pain to move. And once again, when in campaign you meet the howitzers or you meet the rockets, that infantry isn't going to be the best. But the whole point is to strategize, to find out what you need, and that is a good spread of everything that you can have. So a super heavy or a heavy, a medium, 2 artillery, and infantry if you have it. That is going to be a very well-rounded unit mix for campaign, guys. Point number 2, guys, is going to be about the level of your units. So once you've selected the type of units that you need, you definitely want to look into, like, what level do I need them to be able to compete inside of a campaign? Obviously, I can't use a level 4 or a level 5 unit to get, very, very far inside of a campaign that's like chapter 6 or 7 or something like that. You need to have a certain level unit to be able to compete against it. So the first 3 chapters, you can pretty much compete with level 5 units. You're pretty good with those. You'll start getting to a sticking point within this, but once you get into like chapters 4, 5, you want to try to get your units up to a gold star, which is a level 6. When you get to a level 6 and you have it to like level 80, as far as the troops, like level 60 is a little bit too low, but level 80, that's a good one. Once you get to level 80, and a 6-star, you'll definitely be doing good inside of the campaign on those chapters. You do, however, want to try to start, using your units like this and modifying them right here with as many components as you can, and start to try to get some. I know a lot of you guys probably have copper, but try to get some silver, parts or whatever. You can break them down later. I advised against this when I first started because they didn't have the blueprint picks, but because they have the blueprint picks now, and you can pretty much pick up a blueprint way easier than when I started this game, go ahead and break them down and then try to get gold later. But definitely with some silver, you'll be doing very good with that. I would say that when you start getting up in the chapters 7, 8, 9, you're definitely going to want like 6.5, 7-star units to really, get through it with ease, let's say. And then, try to get some gold parts and or, work your way down in your tier on your modifications. That's going to be what you're going to need for those type of campaigns, guys. All right, guys, the last topic is going to be the in-field fighting. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting probably throughout the video. I just wanted to go over some of the basics of the troops and what type of troops that you need to do, and also what levels for what campaigns. It was very brief, even though it did take, some minutes trying to push through it. So anyway, let's take a look at the footage right here. So what we have is I'm going to do one of these campaigns, and I'm going to take you a little bit through what I do specifically. So the first thing you see me do is I'm bringing my medium, which I've taken and I've drugged this towards the front so that it tanks first. My medium, out of all 5 of my units that you can see down here, is the most armor. It could be your heavy, your super heavy, whatever it is. My medium is very beefed up, so it handles very well for a medium. So it's going to go to the front. Once it gets close enough, it's going to take the tank. Now, the first unit that touches it, first or second, because if they hit kind of the same time, it'll pull both of the units to attack both of them. But the first unit that gets there is the unit that gets attacked by all the other units. So that's why we call it a tank or a sponge, because it just absorbs all the damage, okay? Once that's done, my artillery in the back will show up. In this case, it didn't fire off fast enough because the medium killed them so quickly or whatever. Next up, we have the tank hunters right here. These tank hunters can be countered by medium, so my medium will do very, very well with it. So let's take this for example. I usually go somewhere in the middle so that it draws up the units, so that way the artillery don't have to come down so far before they get activated. But once again, my medium is so strong here that it totally took the tank right there and just killed them all before all of these. Now, I have units to this side and units to this side. Now, whenever you come back to the last cluster, and these could be rockets, this could be infantry, this could be super heavies, it depends on what campaign you're on. They have a big number of them in a cluster. So what you want to do is you want to kind of separate them, whether that's coming down and pulling back up so that it draws only a portion of them, or you go from one side to the other side. So I'll show you kind of what I did here. It's not exactly the perfect scenario. I was trying to click, and I think some of the artillery got in the way of each other. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide up one side to the other. This got close enough so it pulled the troops, so I'm going to come back just a little bit. This unit right here is saying here, but what it's going to do is it's going to trigger my my anti-tank and my howitzer to hit some of these units, while my medium comes down here and deals with some of these mediums. So I'm just breaking it up a little bit, but I'm also using some of my artillery, and the artillery took a little bit of damage because it got to the front, and also my tank hunter right here. Ideally, you want to keep the artillery towards the back so that they don't get hit. But yeah, so let's take a look at the next video that I have. Let's check it out, guys. Sorry, let me get it out. In this video, it's going to be the next level up. It's going to be a little bit different. So we see that we have a lot of infantry on this one all the way through. So we want to try to use our howitzers, our artillery a lot, because they'll do very well. So you can see that the infantry is right here and it's getting hit by the tanks, but as soon as my artillery fire off on it, I mean, it's like splat, it's over with. That's how the artillery works. So the next step up, you guys want to go somewhere in the middle here. And what I did was I laid back just a little bit, and I'm going to click right here so you guys can see it's about 3 clicks off of it, 3 grid spaces. They won't get engaged, but the second I get up to like 2, it's going to engage them to come forward. So that's the whole point, is that you guys want to try to pull the troops to you instead of just running smack dead into them. Now, that's if you're having trouble. If you guys, have a real strong unit and you can click auto attack and move through it, so be it, guys. Hey, more power to you. But on this one, I'm going to pull my medium down, and then I'm going to come back just so I pull up. So once again, I've got a cluster of 4. I can handle that. There's 4 more down here. And why do I do that? Because if I come straight down and I encounter 8 of them, that's 8 of them that are firing. My artillery will hang back here because they're too slow. So I'm going to pull towards and then back towards my artillery so that I take a little chunk at a time. That is probably the best strategy for when you're having difficulty, is to just take little chunks at a time. You have a timer, and even though I did it, relatively fast, I still have 1 minute and 20 seconds. That's 1 minute and 20 seconds that my tank could be healing, I could take it much, much slower than that one did. And then let's go ahead and look at the last battle that I did. Recorded this one just to kind of give some insight. So this one is going to have some artillery in it. So even though we have the infantry, we're going to pull them up and we're going to try to use our artillery. Watch it go. Plow. And dude, once the artillery hits it, it's splatter on the infantry. And that's exactly what you want. But this next one's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to wait on the arty too much. We're going to try to get our fast tanks in here so that way they can get going. Now, once I move up another one, it's going to instigate the howitzers to fire off because of the 5 grids. So I'm set up right here. I'm more than 5 grids out. And so once I move, then that's exactly when they're going to engage. So you can see the front line engaged, but not the back line. The reason I do this is because you see the different fires. So 2 of them fired off on me, and then the other 2 in the back are firing off. Now what this does is it makes it to where all 5 of them are not firing off exactly at the same time. I want to use units like mediums or lights or things like that that fire fast, because they can kill the artillery quicker because of their fire rate. So the whole point of this is to show you kind of like how you can bite off just a little bit to offset, you know, a mass amount getting to you at one time. Next up is the heavy tank brigade, but you can see I pulled towards and back away. This instigates just partial. I mean, you would want only about 4 or so, but you know, yeah, 6 of them came out of the 8, and you know, it is what it is, and 2 of them are left down there. But my medium is going to do very well, and also the artillery. Once I get it down to just 2, it's easy for me to click down and just take the other 2 out. So it's just about, once again, biting off just as much as you can chew. And if you need to, because look, I have, you know, 56 seconds left, I could have stayed a little bit longer in the field and allowed my troops to heal just a little bit longer, to, you know, with a spanner or a Bloody Mary to try to, you know, pull it back up with a little bit more power. So that's how you want to do that. I do not have infantry in any of these videos, but if you guys want, I can do more videos on it. If you have specific questions to the exact campaign that you're having trouble with, I can try to go over some of that with you in my Discord or whatever, but this is just an overall idea of how you can work on the campaigns. Until next time, guys. Peace.